Welcome to Season 19 of the 5-Minute Biographies podcast from 5minutebiographies.com, where each week we tell you interesting things about interesting people in about 5 minutes. If you enjoy the show and would like to support us, why not consider buying us a coffee? Head on over to 5minutebiographies.com/coffee to see how. This is episode 5, Mata Hari. Margaretha Geertruida Zelle, better known to the world as Mata Hari, was born on the 7th of August 1876 in Leeuwarden, Netherlands. She would go on to become one of history's most infamous figures, a woman whose name became synonymous with seduction, espionage, and mystery. Her life was a complex tapestry of reinvention, glamour, and ultimately, tragedy. Margaretha was the daughter of Adam Zelle, a successful hatter and businessman, and Antje van der Meulen. She grew up in relative comfort until her father went bankrupt in 1889, a turning point that would set her life on an unpredictable path. Following the death of her mother in 1891, she was sent to live with relatives and eventually trained as a kindergarten teacher in Leiden. However, a scandal involving the school's headmaster led to her dismissal, and she soon sought a different path in life. At the age of 18, Margaretha responded to a newspaper advertisement placed by Dutch colonial army captain Rudolf MacLeod, who was seeking a wife. The two married in 1895 and moved to the Dutch East Indies, modern-day Indonesia, where they had 2 children, Norman and Jean. However, the marriage was deeply troubled. MacLeod was an abusive and heavy-drinking man, and their relationship deteriorated. Tragedy struck in 1899 when their son Norman died, allegedly from poisoning, though the circumstances remain unclear. The couple formally separated in 1902, and Margaretha returned to the Netherlands before eventually making her way to Paris in 1903. It was in Paris that she reinvented herself as Mata Hari, a name she claimed meant Eye of the Day in Malay. She began performing as an exotic dancer, weaving tales of an aristocratic upbringing in the East, claiming she had been raised in a temple and trained in sacred dances. Her performances captivated audiences, blending sensuality with an aura of mystique. She became the darling of Parisian high society, attracting the attention of wealthy patrons, influential men, and military officers. Her ability to manipulate her image and weave a fabricated past was a testament to her keen understanding of how to use perception to her advantage. Mata Hari's fame grew rapidly, and she became known across Europe. Her performances took her to Berlin, Vienna, and Madrid, and she mingled with some of the most powerful men of the time. However, her extravagant lifestyle and numerous affairs also made her a target for suspicion. As tensions in Europe escalated towards the First World War, Mata Hari found herself entangled in the dangerous world of espionage. Her connections with high-ranking officials and officers across multiple countries made her an ideal candidate for intelligence work. It remains unclear whether she was truly a spy or merely a courtesan, caught in the web of international intrigue, but she was accused of working for both the French and the Germans. In 1916, she was approached by French intelligence officer Georges Ladoux, who recruited her to spy on Germany. However, her movements and associations had already placed her under suspicion. The following year, the German military intercepted messages referring to a spy known as H21, which they claimed was Mata Hari. Whether these messages were deliberately planted to frame her or contained genuine evidence remains a matter of historical debate. On the 13th of February, 1917, she was arrested in Paris and charged with espionage. Her trial was highly publicized and sensationalized, with the French authorities portraying her as a femme fatale whose seductive wiles had cost the lives of thousands of soldiers. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, she was convicted and sentenced to death. Throughout her trial, Mata Hari maintained her innocence, arguing that she was merely a courtesan who had been unfairly accused. The prosecution, however, painted her as a master manipulator who used her charm to extract military secrets. The trial itself was marked by a lack of substantial proof, yet the prevailing sentiment was that someone needed to be held accountable for France's wartime struggles, and Mata Hari became the convenient scapegoat. On the 15th of October 1917, Mata Hari was executed by firing squad at the Château de Vincennes on the outskirts of Paris. Reports claim that she refused a blindfold, facing her executioners with unflinching composure. Some accounts suggest that she even blew a kiss to the soldiers before they fired. The image of her standing bravely before her death only added to her legend, making her one of history's most enduring enigmas. Her death cemented her legacy as one of history's most enigmatic figures. Whether she was truly a double agent or simply a scapegoat for France's wartime failures remains an open question. Regardless of the truth, her life story has endured, inspiring countless books, films, and theatrical productions. Mata Hari remains a symbol of mystery, intrigue, and the dangers of living too close to power. Even after her death, Mata Hari's reputation continued to evolve. Some historians have argued that she was largely innocent, an opportunist rather than a spy, while others maintain that she played a more active role in espionage. In the decades following her execution, documents have surfaced that suggest the evidence against her was tenuous at best. The French government's decision to deny her a fair trial was likely influenced by the desperate need to boost morale during a time of heavy wartime losses. Her image has been romanticized in popular culture, depicted in numerous films and novels. Often portrayed as the quintessential femme fatale, she has been the subject of fascination for generations. However, the reality of her life was far more complex than the myths that surround her. She was a woman who sought independence in an era when women had few rights, a performer who captivated audiences, and a figure who ultimately became the victim of wartime paranoia. Mata Hari's story is one of transformation and tragedy. From a young Dutch girl to a celebrated exotic dancer, and finally to a condemned spy, her life was marked by reinvention. While her legacy is shrouded in intrigue, she remains a compelling figure in history. Over a century after her death, the mystery of Mata Hari continues to captivate those who seek to understand the truth behind the legend. Thanks for listening to the 5-Minute Biographies podcast from 5minutebiographies.com. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts, or if you would like to support us more directly, why not consider buying us a coffee? Head on over to 5minutebiographies.com/coffee to see how. Also, why not check out our other 5-minute podcasts, which you can find at 5minuteproductions.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.